since he graduated from high school. He's a former high school baseball player who pivoted from athletics in high school to the workforce. And that's one of the 5 E's that we're going to talk about later on in regards to how he pivoted into one of what we call the 5 E's, where he and I have joined forces and we met each other, but he took on a different path in his life, not sports. And he went ahead and applied the same principles that these guys have as far as hard work. He went on and made a difference in people's lives. And we've worked side by side through natural disasters and helped people through hurricanes, tornadoes, ice storms, and floods. And he was there every day. He never wasted a day, never missed a day. He worked hard at what we were doing. And he made sure that he was like, I may not be a professional athlete like you are, but I can do the same thing you can as far as showing up every day and showing out when I come to work. And then that was the thing that made me understand who he was as a person, is that he knew what he needed to do. So Marshall brings a real world perspective on our flexibility, our identity, and redefining success. When sports dreams evolve into new paths, everyone, please enjoy Marshall's journey as he transitioned from sports to workforce. And I want y'all to know that pivot doesn't mean anything as far as pause. It doesn't mean that you're going to pause. What it means is professionalism. And without further ado, I'm going to bring in the pivot master himself, Marshall Hesse.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Before I get into my story, I do want to say thank you to Coach Lunsford. It's a pleasure to be here and have the opportunity to speak to you. I also want to say thank you to the other presenters to take time out of their day and tell their stories as well as share their messages. You have to appreciate that. And lastly, I do want to show appreciation to who I think is the most important people we have with us today, and that's the athletes in attendance. Mm-hmm. You cannot begin to work until you clock in. People say showing up is half the battle, and give yourself some credit because today you've shown up. Yeah. Again, my name is Marshall Hesse. I'm a 31-year-old former high school athlete turned insurance professional, working in the role of management, specifically geared towards employee development and training in day-to-day problem resolution. I take pride in my work and am proud of my journey. I make it a point to say high school athlete because to date, my journey does not include college. I highlight that simply to demonstrate to you that no path is alike. Every journey is unique, and there's no correct way to write your story. Every single one of you have imagined a reality in which you've succeeded as an athlete. That vision is blurry at best, and that is because there is a road that sits between who you are today and that version of yourself. But I assure you, every step taken is a step towards clarity and one step closer to where your path will ultimately lead you. I consider myself an inconveniently honest person. And what I mean by that is no matter how uncomfortable the truth, I refuse to lie to myself. It's important to tell you this because it also means I sure as hell I'm not going to lie to you. Truth does not care about feelings, which is why reality will never stop being harsh. I hope every single one of you reach your goals, become professional athletes, and feed your family off of sports. But the truth is, it's a very narrow road that's walked by very few individuals. Harsh reality. Even in a perfect world for you football players, who does every single thing right and earns the opportunity to compete at the highest level, you're rewarded with the understanding that Mr. Shields is no longer a presenter. He's now the guy across the locker room from you working every single day to make sure that you do not have a job. And that gold jacket leads me to believe that not many people were very successful in taking food off of that man's plate. Welcome to your best case scenario. I prove my point that reality is harsh, even in the best of times. Baseball was my sport. I was named team captain my freshman year, owned multiple pitching records my sophomore year, was in contact with colleges my junior year, and tore my rotator cuff my senior year. Just like that, Baseball was over. My athletic career had come to an end. The sport I loved did not love me back, or at least that's what I had thought. But being forced to pivot from one path to another made me realize that that just simply was not true. The reality was the game I loved showed no interest in my want. Rather, it provided me with a tool set my future self would realize that I would need. If one person was late to practice, a game, or a workout, every single person on the team ran polls. Punctuality and accountability was the lesson. Ladies and gentlemen, you will never have to run because of me. I was presented with the honor of being named team captain, but I could only accept the role if I agreed to two things. One, I would share accountability for any teammate that fell behind academically because the role of captain extended beyond the field of play. And two, the decision to put me in that role would never come into question due to my lack of effort. Give it your best, and leadership was the lesson. Ladies and gentlemen, in a time of doubt, if you look my way, you will never see anything less than my best effort. And if you're part of my team, I will do everything I can to never leave you feeling abandoned in the face of adversity. My athletic career ended before it started. Shoot, it did not even graduate high school. But at no point would I ever consider this to be a failure, because the lessons I learned, I implement today. Success is not a destination. Rather, it shows itself in characteristics, actions, behavior. Simply put, success is a mindset. I was asked to speak to you today because I provide you a different perspective, one that I think is important. And that's because I share a message that I believe is rooted in the reality that many of you will eventually realize you relate most to my story. We all have one thing in common here today, and that is that we began as athletes, but every path is unique. And like myself, a lot of you will pivot and venture down paths that lead to an unrecognizable version of yourself, and I find that to be exciting. The point I make to you today is simple. It does not matter if it's a gold jacket, a good job, to build a business that helps kids, or even as far as raising your own. Success is not a destination. So do not worry if your path does not look like the person next to you. Do not be afraid to pivot and explore the different route, and never feel discouraged if your journey requires multiple turns. Today, you're on the path of becoming a student athlete. Show up, work your ass off, and understand that there's people like the ones who are behind BDOC Sports that want to make sure that this path takes you as far as it can go. But do be mindful. Every step you take needs to be the best step you take. So embrace the path that is right for you, wherever it may lead. Gold jackets are not one size fit all. And the reality is, sometimes even insurance workers make it to the Hall of Fame. So I wish you luck in your journeys, but you are definitely off to a good start with spending your time with us today.
All
And
right.
that is
Go ahead. Thank you very much, Marshall. We appreciate that. And yes, you are in the Hall of Fame, and I know which Hall of Fame you're in. Good job,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Really appreciate that message from Marshall. And what we want to do is, Marshall gave you a good example, and I want to tie this in, is he wanted to be enrolled. That's what all of you want to do. You want to enroll and go to college. And we were talking about the 5 E's. So I'm going to let Miss Amanda kind of tie it all, that part of it together, and then I'm going to come in with the 5 E's.
Perfect. Thanks, Adrian. Yeah, I always like to speak on this part because my journey was similar to Marshall's. And not from an injury, but from lack of resources and mentorship along the way to understand that there was other options than the one I thought was the only way. That dream of wanting to go and play as a softball player, not realizing that there was other options in front of me because I just didn't have that guidance. And I just want to point on this because I do love this. You know, not every path does go pro. The yellow jacket of the insurance, that is the reality of that off the field. These skills you're learning as an athlete are such valuable skill sets when you enter the workforce, and you're nurturing those skills right now. Whether you're a freshman, whether you're a senior, you're nurturing them, and the work you put into them is going to help set you up for whatever gold jacket it may be as a part of your path, whether that's the gold jacket like Will, or whether that's Marshall, or whether that's me sitting here teaching you. You know, I didn't play college athletics. And I just really wanted to emphasize that not all goals stay the same. And as athletes, as people, as humans, you can define your wins, your paths, and still level up at whatever it is that you put your mind to. That athlete mindset will get you there. So I'll let Adrian go into 5Es. That's really all I wanted to emphasize on that, is just, you know, you guys are building that same effort on the field, bring it in to this too.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Amanda. At this point in time, excuse me, what we're going to do is talk about the 5Es. And what I want to do is say, like Marshall was saying about getting enrolled. If you're going to be enrolled to go to college, he had aspirations of playing baseball. 3 years of really good baseball, and then all of a sudden his senior year blows his rotator cuff, and he's got to pivot. And he, you know, there was things that I know that he and I talked about over the years. You know, had he known me and known BDOC Sports at that point in time, we would have shown him how to take one of the 5Es and make it his, and understand how he could have still enrolled in college and went on to see his baseball profession, but he didn't. So when he decided that, hey, I got to go out and use one of these 5Es, which are enroll, enlist, employee, entrepreneur, or evacuate. And I'm going to break those down a little bit. If you're enrolled, that means you're going to go to college and you're going to try to play the sport that you are desiring to play. All good, fine. Or there's nothing wrong with pivoting and going and enlisting in the military services and having a career path that way. Or you can become an employee and you can work for someone, and you can still be in the Hall of Fame of working hard for people, and you still go, because we all, as you've heard, we all started working for someone, doing something. We all did not just come out of the womb being who we are. We had to learn how to work. And so you can go and be, and I used to tell my daughter this all the time, I don't care what you are in life, just be the very best that, whatever it is, whatever you choose to do. So when you look at these 5Es, whether you're enrolled, be the best athlete, be the best kid that goes to college, whatever you want to call it, whatever word you want to put on it, it's enrolled. Enlist. If you go into the military, that's your job. Be that. Be the best at that. If you want to be an employee, you know, you got to be the best employee out there. You can be an entrepreneur, just like Amanda went on, didn't play sports, turned into an entrepreneur. Got to be the best entrepreneur that you have to be. You have to do that. Or the final one, and this one you don't want to be the best at. But if you are the best, you're going to have to evacuate because you didn't do any of the other 4. And you have to realize what that means. If you're the best at evacuate, that means you did nothing for the other 4. Nothing. And there's opportunity out there for you. So we just want you to be able to understand that and know that our emphasis at Recruiting Made Simple is to help athletes prepare for plan A, B, and beyond. Just like Marshall did, how he changed and how he did everything. Flexibility is a strength. It's not a weakness. If you're able to flex, be flexible, and be able to pivot and do those things, it's definitely not a weakness. It is definitely a way to be professional. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we got everything covered in that section as we move on through, and we're going to we're going to move on, and we're going to see if Miss D has anything that she wants to let you guys know about in regards to what you need to drop in the chat or anything. So Miss D, you got anything you want to add?
Yes, I actually have 2 parts. So one, sticking with Marshall's subject on flexibility and pivoting, I want you to drop a comment success if you believe that flexibility is part of success. If you believe you have to be flexible in order to succeed, drop success in the comment. Also, sticking with the 5 E's, I want you to drop another comment. Actually, not a comment. I'll take that back. Well, I'm taking this to your tracker. Make sure everyone is using their GPS tracker. So I want you to write, out of the 5 E's, one alternative plan that you're going to use. Put that in your tracker. And then in the comments, I want you to drop success if you feel flexibility is needed to be successful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So y'all make sure y'all are following up on your trackers and doing what you need to do there.